So today I can, repeat after me, I can round decimals to the thousands place.
To the thousands.
Good, come on, give us some enthusiasm. To the thousands place.
To the thousands.
That's what I'm talking about. Alright, so this lesson is nothing different than what you guys learned in 2nd grade, 3rd grade, and 4th grade. I just put a little bit different spin on it because at this point in your life, you should be moving from the hands-on, using manipulatives to more of a concrete and even abstract way of thinking about rounding numbers, okay? So I know, raise your hand if you remember your teacher telling you something about underline the digit you're rounding, circle the neighbor, 4 or less,
Is colder.
4 or
or
less.
it goes down, 5 or more, raise the score. Okay, good. You remember all that fun stuff, all right? So today I'm going to take away some of that and try to make it a little more simpler for you and put it in a different context, all right? So if you would please, on page 14 of your journal, at the very top of that journal page, I want you to write rounding decimals. Write the words real big at the top of that page, rounding decimals. At the very top, just write the word rounding decimals. And there's the word rounding right there. And I'm hoping that you can sound out and spell the word decimals. Decimals does not have an S in it. I know it sounds like an S, but I promise you there's no S in decimal. It's a C. That funny C that makes all kinds of sounds. Okay, decimals. Alright, so look at this number. If you would please skip a couple of lines under that title, skip a couple of lines down all the way to the left, and write this number for me, 368,971. Write that number for me. It's a big number. Is that number a decimal?
No.
Absolutely not. This is a review from what you learned in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. Okay? Now, the question says, round this number to the nearest 10,000. Why do you think I underlined that 6?
Because it's in the 10,000s place.
Because that 6 is in the 10,000s place. Now that is the only thing that I use that your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade teachers taught you is underlining that digit. Because I want you to make sure you're focusing on the right digit to round. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know that 368,971 has a 6 in the 10,000s place. So my first step is to identify or find the number that you are rounding. Okay? And we all should underline the number 6. So if you've not done so, please do so now. Underline that 6. That's the place I'm rounding. The next step is new. Okay? The next step is new. Let me get rid of that nonsense. The next step is decide on the bookend number. Now, what in the world does bookend number mean? Think about the word bookend. Have you heard the word bookend? You ever heard that in the library?
Well, the book in your book.
Bookend means the end of something. Okay? Bookend number. So I take it to mean this. If I have the number 68,971, what I want to know is what two 10,000s, what two bookends is 68,971 in between? So what 10,000 is it greater than? It's greater than 60,000, but it's less than 70,000. Good, I heard somebody say it. It's less than 70,000. Does that make sense? Now, I kind of shorten that a little bit sometimes. I tell students 60 and 70 because these are always going to be zeros anyway, right? You learned that in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade that everything behind it turns into zeros? Yes? But I want you to understand why are they zeros? Because this whole 10,000 is closer to 70,000 or 60,000? So what is 68,971,000 closer to? 70,000 or 60,000?
70,000.
Absolutely 70,000, right? It's only 2 away. It's less than 2 away. So I would tell you that 370,000 is closer to 368,971. I put a 3 up here too if I want to. And then that answers my question. 368,971 rounds up to 370,000.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
You bump it up to a 7.
Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to practice that strategy. All right, now I know a lot of you. I know in my heart. A lot of you get it. A lot of you get rounding. You just see it, and that's cool. But today, I want to see everyone using my strategy. And if I feel confident that you've got it, I will tell you, I won't correct you on any more if you don't use my exact strategy. But I want everyone using the strategy that I taught you, which is why you have that yellow paper on your desk, because a lot of you did not use the strategies that I showed you yesterday, which is why you're going to do it again today. Okay? So now, if you would please, copy this number in your journal. Skip a couple lines, 2 or 3 lines, and copy this number. Not the answer, just copy 23 and 25 hundredths in your journal. Just copy 23 and 25 hundredths in your journal. Pretty simple, just 4 numbers and a decimal, right? The question says, round 23 and 25 hundredths to the nearest tenth. Tenth. What digit is in the 10th place? Katie.
The 2.
Which is why I underline that 2. So everyone underline that 2. Now let's ask ourselves, what are my bookend numbers? Well, what numbers are 25 in between? What's the low 10? What's 25 is closer, it's low, it's in between what 2 tenths? It's between 2 tenths and 3 tenths. Between 20 and 30. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Are you sure that makes sense? Because no one answered me.
Yes.
Okay. So it's between 20 and 30. What is 25 closer to? Or the better question is, what have you been taught 25 is closer to?
30.
30. You're taught that the 5 always rounds up, right? So 25 is closer to 30. So my answer would be 23. That does not change. Nothing in front changes. And notice I did not write the 0 here. Do I have to write that 0?
No.
No. That does not change the value. So I leave it at 23 and 3 tenths. Okay? Give me a thumbs up. If it makes perfect sense, give me a thumb to the side. Just kind of a little bit. Thumbs down if you are totally lost in the bushes. All right, that's good. Most of you look pretty good. All right? So let's do another practice problem. All right, let's try another one. Don't pay attention. Don't pay attention to this. This should be 1 and 0, 48. So copy this number in your journal. 1 and 48 thousandths. Copy that number, 1 and 48 thousandths. There's nothing like preparing a PowerPoint and for making a mistake. I make more than my fair share, I promise. So what digit am I rounding to this time? The hundredth place. And what digit is in the hundredth place?
4.
Which is why I did what to it?
Underline
it. Now what 2 numbers am I looking at to find my bookend numbers? I'm looking at 48, right? You know you're right, you're right. Now what are my 2 bookend numbers and what is 48 in between?
40.
Yes ma'am.
40 and 50.
Very nicely done. It's between 40 and 50. And then ask yourself, what is 48 closer to? And you should answer yourself and say, well gee self, 48 is closer to 50. So then, does the 1 change?
No.
Does the 0 change?
No.
The only digit that changes is the 4. And it changes into a 5. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Somewhat, a little bit, kind of. Okay? One more practice problem. Ready? One more practice problem up here, and then we'll do some practice from your assignment tonight. Alright, write this gigantic 9-digit number in your journal. It's a biggin. That's a big number. Got 9 place values in it. But it's not in the millions place, is it?
No.
No, because it's a decimal. It is a decimal. Yes, ma'am.
It's not about this 15 in your slides.
Oh.
Like every single period.
I only get 1 class. Alright, everybody got it written?
Yes.
What am I rounding this number to?
The
10th. So you have exactly 90 seconds to underline the digit you're rounding, find the bookend numbers, and round it for me. And then we are going to answer and see who did a really good job on the mastery check. Let's see who understands this. Underline the digit you're rounding. Decide on your bookend numbers, and then round it. What is it closer to? Finish it already? No, that. You do that now. Finish that. Good. Now find your book. No, underline the digit first. To the tenths place. Tenths. That's the what digit behind. Look at your place value chart. Where is the tenths? If you don't know what place is the tenths, look at your word wall. Personal word wall. It tells you what place is the tenths. Or if you look above my whiteboard up there, I have a place value chart for you. Alright, got about 30 seconds. Okay, let's see if you got the right answer. What digit am I rounding? What number?
13.
Okay, what number is that up there in that number?
6.
It is the
4.
4. You should be rounding to the 10th place. What are my bookends? Okay, I heard a lot of gasp there. Raise your hand if you did not underline the correct digit. Okay, now look up here. This is a really good lesson right here, young lady. Look up here. Here's my decimal. First digit is a tenths, hundredths, thousands. You should never get that. All you have to do is look up here, right? Look at my walls. I try to put as many answers as I can on my walls. Look for them. Okay? All right. So what are my bookend numbers?
40 and 50.
Very good. 40 is my low number. 50 is my high number. What is 46 closer to?
50.
50. So my answer is 564,234 and 5 tenths or 50 hundredths. I won't take off for that.
I got
Okay? How many of you forgot to write the stuff in front? Don't forget that. That's really important. Don't leave that part out. Okay? All right. So take out your homework. Take out your homework. Put it on top of your desk. Your homework looks like this right here.
Oh, I know this one.
Take out your homework.
I have one more question.
I learned a lesson last year when I gave this homework assignment. I did not do a very good job explaining it, and so a lot of my students made mistakes because a lot of my students, especially at your age, refuse to pay attention to directions. It's just not in your habits yet. You just refuse to pay attention to directions. You don't read everything carefully. You think you read something, you think you got it, and you just go. You don't really read everything. All right? So this whole column right here, all these blank spaces go with these numbers. Notice that the numbers are the same in both columns. Does everybody see that? The only thing that's different is what you're rounding to. So what does this word say? 100. That's not the digit behind the decimal. Okay? This side, you're going to round those numbers to the tenth place. That is the decimal. On the bottom column to the tens, and the other side, hundredths. Okay? So don't get confused on that. So here's my first piece of advice. You can take it or you can leave it because it's free. Alright? I would underline the digit I'm rounding in every number. So this says the hundred place. So what digit in this first number is in the hundred?
2.
The 2. So I'll underline every one of those hundreds. I will underline every one of them because I don't want to make a mistake. Alright, so far so good. Now the column to the right wants me to round to what?
10.
The 10th. So in this number, what number is in the 10th?
4.
The 4. So I'll underline all my tenths. So I know exactly what digit needs to be rounded. So I will do a couple of each column for you before we start our lesson today. Or we're working on your own. Okay? So let's look at this one. 4,256 and 469,000 rounded to the hundreds. So what are my bookends going to be for this number here? 256. What are my bookends going to be?
50 and 60.
No, sir.
Oh, 300 and 200.
Very good. 256 is in between 200 and 300. Or it's in between 20 and 30. It's your choice. Remember, the zeros, you can add the zeros as much as you want. Whatever makes you feel comfortable. What is 256 closer to? 300. So then my answer is 4,300.
We don't put it.
Do I need the decimal? Does this change my value?
No.
Oh.
Doesn't change the value at all, does it? Okay? Doesn't change the value at all because I'm not adding any parts of a whole. Right? Okay? Look at the second one. Now I'll do the second one a little differently. I'll look at 26. What are my bookend numbers?
300.
Yes, sir.
20 and 30.
Very good. 20 is my low bookend. 30 is my high bookend. What is 26 closer to? Class, what is 26 closer to?
30.
30. Now here's why I put hundreds up here. 5,030? Is that my answer?
No.
No, it should be 5,300, which is why I like to add that 0 so I don't forget my 0. Do I need the decimal?
No.
Absolutely not. Okay, one more. 9,587 and 648 thousandths rounded to the nearest hundred. What are my bookends?
500 and 600.
500 and 600. I got a couple people. You're not making me feel very confident that you're understanding this. And I don't see any hands going up asking me to stop and go back. I need you to participate so I know you understand. What is 587 closer to?
600.
600. So my answer is
500. I'm at 9,600.
9,600. All right, good. Now let's move ourselves over to the other column on the tenths. Now we're going to round this number to the tenths place. Does that make sense? So I've underlined my tenths place, right?
Yeah.
So let's look at the first one. Does anything in front change?
No.
No.
So my answer is going to start with 4,256, right? Decimal. So then I need to look at, I probably should underline that in a different color. None of that changes, right? So what are my bookend numbers going to be? 469,000. Yes, sir.
40 and 50.
Very good. 40 is my low number. 50 is my high number. What is 46 closer to?
50.
50. Do I need to write 50 or 5?
5.
Does it matter if I put 50?
No.
Do I need that 0? Does it change my value?
No.
The answer is no to all 3 questions. Alright? Yeah?
Yeah.
Alright, let's look at the second one. Is anything in front going to change?
No.
So this my answer will start with 5,263. I know that won't change. But I need to find out what are my bookends. 247,000. 24. What are my bookends? Just say it. What are my bookends, class?
20 and 30.
Very good. 20 is my low number. 30 is my high number. What is 24 closer to?
20.
20. So my answer is 5,263 and
2.
2 tenths.
2 0.
2 tenths. Okay? Alright, do the last one on your own, and let's see how you do. Let's see how you do. Check yourself. Push your chair, please. Push your chair, please. All the way up. I gotta be able to walk behind you, but it doesn't matter. Most important thing is find that bookend. Understand that bookend. What are we looking in between? Would anyone like to volunteer to give me the bookend numbers? The bookend numbers. Yes, sir.
They are 60 and 70.
Does anybody have something different between 60, other than 60 and 70? You? Good? Yes? Okay. Is anything in front going to change? So my answer will start with 9,587. And is my 64 closer to 60 or 70?
60.
So then my decimal would be
A 6.
a 6. Does anybody have any questions on that so far?
No.
All right. So do me one quick favor before we go on, before we break. Down here, I want you to underline the word tens and underline the word hundreds. And then put your name, today's date, and the class period right there. All right? Have we learned how to round decimals today?
Yes.
Does everybody feel confident to practice that?
Yes.
All right, so we're going to break there. I'm going to put you into you're going to get into your work in your groups, and we will finish the day out. All right? Good job.